Hey, how's it going, you guys? This is SpideyDaker64 here again with a NASCAR race review. What I got for you today, and that is a review on the 2019 Las Vegas Pennzoil 400. This race was just this past weekend, and oh, by the way, this is probably most likely going to be a common thing. Basically, the deal is that most likely gonna do my race reviews probably a week later the race comes out. Yeah. So with that being said, let's just get straight into the highlights of the race. So in Kevin Harvick led us to the green flag, but he did not pull away or anything like that, because of this aero package and stuff like that. We saw a lot of good battles in the first stage. Then we had a little bit of a pit cycle on lap 60, and then there were some pit road penalties that were given. One of them was for one of the most stupidest rules NASCAR can ever do, and that was Kyle Larson got a penalty because too many men over the wall. And you want to know the reason why? Because his crew member put his hand on the pit stall. So that counted as too many men over the wall. I swear, NASCAR, you're so stupid. That's just a dumb rule and stuff like that. Also, Austin Dillon got a penalty as well. But then again, I really didn't think he was going to finish that good in the race, considering he was falling off pretty early on in the race. And honestly, Austin Dillon was just pretty bad this weekend, I would just have to say. I mean, one, couldn't even recover from the pit road penalty, but do I blame him? No, not really. And so, in the end of the stage, Kevin Harvick ended up as the stage winner. In stage number 2, we saw much of the same thing. I mean, we had some good racing, here and there, and stuff like that. Like, we had some good and interesting battles, obviously, on the restarts and stuff like that, which were the primary reason as to why I really did like this race as a whole, but I'm not gonna get into that just yet. But yeah, so we saw much of the same players come into play. We had some comers and goers. So we had Brad Keselowski who got into this fight, all of a sudden, and then we had, obviously, the pit strategy. We had guys stayed out like Daniel Suarez and also William Byron, which, really which was pretty good seeing William Byron, out there leading laps, and stuff like that in a car that's really not that good. But in the end of that stage, which was fought between, I think this was a fight between Joey Logano and mainly Kevin Harvick. Joey Logano won stage number 2. Stage 3, which concluded the race as a whole. Also, by the way, at this point of the race, it was basically caution free, stuff like that. I mean, no incidents or anything like that. I don't even count the stage cautions, but yeah. So by the end of the race, which went to a long 8 lap green flag run, or maybe it was more. I'm not so sure. I'm pretty sure it was an 80 lap run. Kurt Busch, who he and Matt McCall made an interesting move where they basically, stayed out, and Kurt Busch was able to hold on to the lead for a good amount of time before Kevin Harvick got to him and obviously passed him. And in that point of the race, Kurt Busch actually, as a matter of fact, ended up finishing 5th in this race, by the way. So, yeah. And then the fight for the finish was between Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, and Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick was leading until Brad Keselowski got past him. Then Joey Logano passed Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski was chasing down Joey Logano for the final laps of the race. And in the end, it looked like it was going to be a photo finish. It looked like Brad Keselowski was going to go back-to-back wins, but it wasn't back-to-back wins for Brad Keselowski. It was back-to-back wins for Team Penske, and in the end, Joey Logano won the Pennzoil 400. So now time to get on to my opinion on this past weekend's Pennzoil 400. So overall, I thought that this was a pretty good race. I thought that this race wasn't gonna be really good. Orca Flop, Rowdy Smoke 14, last roaming. I thought all of us thought that this race was gonna suck for real. But then we got to the race weekend, and hey, it was actually not really of a bad race. I think out of all the podcast members, I think Last Roaming, Dade actually hated the race the most, and stuff like that. Which I'm basically giving shout outs everywhere. But overall, I just love this race because, well, one, this race was not boring. It was interesting throughout the whole entire race. The aero package brought a lot of interesting battles and stuff like that. Even though I'm still not a big fan of them taking away horsepower, I'm actually thinking, you know what? That actually may have benefited them a little bit. But hey, still the cars are going pretty fast. Okay, it's not like they're going like 10 miles, like 100 miles more slower, okay? Their cars are still going pretty fast. Don't get me wrong or anything like that. But, yeah, just this race, overall, I thought it was, a pretty good race. It was definitely better than the last year's race. And what this new style aero package, it really did. Twice in a row, we almost had a photo finish. I guarantee you we're going to get a photo finish somewhere like in Phoenix or something like that, coming up, and stuff like that. So that's overall my opinions of the race. Now time to get into some interesting topics from the race weekend. Seems like that now I'm talking more and more about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. But hey, this guy really does deserve to be talked about because throughout the whole entire weekend, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., out of all the drivers in the field, he has been the one that's been impressing me a lot. Now, people could say, well because of this aero package, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is never a super plate race. Okay, yeah, you could say that, but hey, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. throughout this whole entire race was making things so much more interesting. Hell, he was racing guys pretty damn hard, and I'm almost considering that he's a bit of a psychopath out there in the racetrack. But hey, I'll be honest, I love aggressive drivers. This is how I want my driver to be, like Chase Elliott, But hey, if he had a better car, then maybe he could do the same thing like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is doing. Also, hey, he finished sixth in the race. I consider that a big accomplishment. Everyone at Roush Racing that worked on the 17 car, you all deserve a raise. Because, you brought a really good car to the racetrack. Now, people could say, aero package. That's the only reason why Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is competitive. But hey, I don't care. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. performed well in this race. And overall, I'm just happy about that. So the last thing we're going to be talking about here today, and that is basically just Chase Elliott and Hendrick Motorsports as a whole. Overall, Chase Elliott, he's had a, this was a pretty, good race for him. I think that this is a weekend that Hendrick Motorsports really did shine. Chase Elliott was up there in the top 10, flirting with it and stuff like that all day. And I really could have. And the one thing that really kind of bugged me throughout this whole entire weekend was that the single car qualifying thing. I'm not so sure if I'm a big fan of that. I'm not so sure, man. I don't think I'm not really a big fan of it. But man, if Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott were to make it to the clock, they could have been on pole. Or Hendrick Motorsports could have been 1-2. So, Yeah, I mean, yeah, overall, I mean, a good weekend for Chase Elliott. I guess people could say he could have done better. Yeah, I'm thinking he could have done better, but hey, how to work will we have, stuff like that. And plus, he's going to Phoenix next weekend, and that's a pretty good track for Chase Elliott. So all of us Chase Elliott fans will probably get a sweet treat at Phoenix. So there you go, guys. That is my review of the 2019 Pennzoil 400. So overall, this was a pretty good race weekend for NASCAR. I think, as a whole, I mean, the Cup Series was the best race of the weekend and stuff like that. I mean, Xfinity, okay, first half sucked. The second half, like the final laps, was pretty good and stuff like that. Trucks, it sucked. Honestly, I mean, seriously. Yeah, with that being said, guys, I will see all of you in the next video. Peace.